Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we have a review of the Kizer Laconic series Amicus. This is an interesting knife, and I've got a lot to say about it actually. So before we get into that, you might be noticing that clip is on the wrong side. Yeah, this knife belongs to a left-handed person, my youngest brother. I got this for him for Christmas. We're going to be filming the review now. I used it a little bit before I gave it to him, and then he's been using it a little bit, so we'll probably have him put some thoughts about this knife in the video at some point. But very, very excited to take a look at this. Let's go ahead and start this review off with a measurement. So our blade length, sharpened edge is about 3 inches. Pretty much, sharpened edge is a little bit under 3 inches. If we go back to the scale, you see here we're at 3 inches exactly. Maybe, yeah, exactly 3 inches. So this is going to be good for people that might be, in some legally restricted areas. I do think that, honestly, most specs for this thing say it's a 2.9-inch blade, but I think calling it a 3-inch blade is way more accurate. All right, let's go ahead and start in with our size comparisons. Here is our Ontario Rat Model 1. And so even though this is a much longer knife, the Amicus, you can see here, is a little bit chunky. It's kind of tall. Here is the Rat 2. And again, even though they're kind of sort of similar in length, the Amicus has more of a presence to it. Okay, let's get out our Civivis, our Elementum, or in this case, Elementum 2. And by the way, the Amicus kind of reminds me of a chunkier version of the Elementum. The blade shape with the spear point is very, very similar. Flipper only, button lock in this case. I mean, this is kind of a chunkier Elementum, which I find to be very interesting. Here's the Praxis. And heck, now that I'm looking at it right now, the Amicus kind of looks like the Praxis and the Elementum had a baby. Kind of interesting there. And let's get out our USA made comparisons. There's the Spyderco PM2 and the Benchmade Bug Out. Very, very cool. And what else do I have lying around to compare this knife against? Let's compare it against the CJRB Pyrite because it's like the most popular button lock on the planet. And let's actually compare it against an old budget Kizer. This is the Kizer Tangram Vector, which is a knife that I really, really love and also happens to be a button lock. And speaking of Tangram, the Kizer Laconic series is Kizer's new budget brand, or budget series, I guess. Kizer used to have the Tangram line of knives, of which this is the only one I ever got to own and experience. I would have loved to have a Tangram Santa Fe. I think that would fit because, Viva la Nueva Mexico. But very, very cool brand. And Kizer's always had kind of like their Vanguard line, and then I'm not even sure what they call their upper tier stuff, but now they have the Laconic series. And despite what it sounds like, the Laconic series doesn't have any knives designed by Ray Laconico, as far as I know, which is a little bit confusing. I'm not even sure what Laconic means. Actually, I want to look that up real quick. Alrighty, a quick Google search revealed that Laconic means using very few words, which I guess kind of makes sense. So there we go. Anyways, materials on this guy. We have G10 scale steel pocket clip with a 9CR18 MOV blade, which is a steel that I kind of like, which kind of leans into this idea that Kizer's Laconic line is similar to the Syncut knives, right? Syncut is the Civivi budget brand, and they primarily use 9CR. So here, Kizer's kind of, monkey see, monkey do. But all that out of the way, let's go ahead and go do some cutting footage and talk about this thing. Hey guys, who's ready to do some review cutting? I am. Today we're doing the review cutting for the Kizer Amicus. This is a really, really cool knife on loan from my brother. I got this for him for Christmas, so we're going to be doing the review cutting right now. So let's go ahead and start off with that action. This is a button lock, flipper only, and it works really, really well. I'm going to say that this is not my favorite button lock action ever. Like, it's not quite as snappy or crisp as other button locks I have felt in the past, but it's good. And I'm always a little bit nervous when I see a button lock whose only means of deployment is a flipper, because it's a little bit harder to get a button lock flipper combo to work than like button lock thumb studs or button lock blade hole. But this knife does it very, very well. Yeah, you get all those good button locky flips and flops. It's pretty good button lock action. Ergonomics are actually really good. This is a knife that's on the smaller side, but it's chunky, as you can see here. When I grab it, I can get a full 4-finger grip, just barely, but I can get a full 4-finger grip. The jimping up here is excellent, and I really do feel like I'm locked in on this knife. It's very comfy in hand. It's kind of soft, and yeah, it just feels good. Just feels really, really nice. So I appreciate that a whole lot. Let's go ahead and talk about the carry. We do have a reversible pocket clip. And in fact, this one is set up for lefty carry because my brother is left-handed. So let's go ahead, take out the stuff that I normally carry in my left pocket. Completely deep carry, goes in really well. The knife itself is lightweight, tucks in the back of the pocket pretty good. Yeah, no worries there. In, out, in, out. Good stuff. I will say this knife I thought was kind of small enough to fit as a 5th pocket, but it's just too big. A little bit bigger than I would carry as a 5th pocket knife, but if that's something that you want to do, I guess you can do that. So let's go ahead and do some cutting. Let's put this stuff back in my pocket first, and my cutting board is upside down. Let's fix that. Yeah, so we have a blade here, a nice spear point, drop point blade of 9CR18 MOV, and actually we're going to use this small piece of cardboard. First, flat grind, slices really, really nicely. You can get to your utility cuts pretty well. Yeah, just a good blade. Very basic blade shape, but you know, it works. It's really, really good. All right, let's go ahead and do our rope pull. Ooh, that felt nice. Holy cow. Go ahead and go a little lower here. Oh my goodness. 2, 3. Holy cow, you get a lot of power out there in that belly. That was really, really impressive. Oh my goodness. Wow. Alrighty then. Let's do our pool noodle, guys. We're almost out of pool noodles. I have this little bit, and I've got about a 8-inch section of the green pool noodle left. I can't buy pool noodles right now, though. It's winter time in northern New Mexico. I haven't found any places selling pool noodles, so we're gonna have to see if I can make it last, right? So let's go ahead and let's do 1, 2. Screw it. Let's do 3. Okay, so the blade is a little short. I can feel myself kind of skipping there at the end, but very nice and consistent. Felt great. I gotta say, this little blade has impressed me quite a bit. That's a pretty nice little usable blade shape there. Very good job, Kizer. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the table. Whoops. Oh, by the way, this is this is the first review cutting that we're doing in the new year. So happy 2024 season, guys. And of course, the first review cutting of the new year, I miss the board completely like a dum-dum. Oh well, let's see if we can remedy that. There we go.
Okay, so before you start talking, I gotta talk about how we got here. So I messaged my brothers. How long ago was that?
3 weeks?
3 weeks ago or something like that, and asked them to send me some videos of them talking about some knives that I've given them that they really enjoy. I asked them to talk about the Kizer Amicus. You're probably seeing this right now in the Kizer Amicus review. And I asked my other brother to talk about a knife that he really, really loves that he wanted me to review, which is probably going to be coming out here shortly. And so what happened with the filming the videos?
Well, it was windy the day you asked us, and we never really got around to it because of weather and school and stuff.
I will say I'm really proud of you guys. They sent me some test footage of what they were setting up, and it looked really great and professional. At least by
him.
yeah, at least by my standard, which might not be the greatest, but.
Alright, so Gideon asked me to send him some information on this knife he gave me for Christmas, the Kizer Amicus. I barely used it. I used it to...
So anyways, now I'm here visiting over spring break, and we're going to film a little bit of talking about these knives. Anyways, so now we're here to talk about the Kizer Amicus, but there's a little problem with that, huh?
I lost it, unfortunately. I'll probably find it tomorrow or sometime soon. But I barely carried it anyway, and
so that's what we're going to talk about, because I think the Kizer Amicus is really, really cool. However, my brother, who I gave it to, disagrees.
I used it like once on Christmas to open the presents, because that's when I got it. First of all, I'm more a fan of fixed blades. The button lock is nice because it's lefty friendly.
And he's left-handed.
But this is what I usually carry, the Kershaw Fraction.
And you guys might remember I reviewed that knife like years and years ago. I gave it to, how long ago did I give you that knife?
2 years ago.
A long time ago. And that has been his EDC.
I carry it to do chores with it. It's really nice. Good action.
So what do you like about this knife that the Amicus doesn't have?
Well, this knife is thinner. I think it has better pocket feel.
Okay.
It also feels better in the hand, except for the fact that I kind of want to put my finger up here.
I mean, you can. That's what you call a trigger pull choil.
Like, sometimes when I'm doing stuff, cut off my fingertip. But yeah, I like this knife pretty good.
Do you like a liner lock better than a button lock?
Well, I used to kind of dislike them because I didn't know how to use them very well, but now I can use them just fine.
Yeah, it takes a little bit for a lefty to get used to that.
Button locks, they're easier to use, but I don't know. I feel like they might wear out sooner.
I can probably agree with you on that. But this knife also has a reversible lefty clip, so
Which is nice.
yeah. But all right, so the owner of the Amicus, not a big fan. He lost it. That's how much he cares about it. But yeah, Kershaw Fractions is what he would choose over the Amicus. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Thanks, bud.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so let's talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. So number one, I do think this is a good looking knife. It's a very Kizer looking knife. You know, a lot of Kizer knives look like this, and I think it's because a lot of them are designed by, I think this is an Anzo design, and I think like knives like the Assassin, the Cozy, knives that look very similar to this are all his designs. We have kind of these spear point, drop point blades. They all do look very derivative, and sometimes I get sick of all of them just looking alike, but at the core of it, it's a good-looking knife design. It's elements that really, really speak to me. I love blades that look like this, and I think this is a really, really good-looking knife. Plain, and, maybe derivative and Kizer lineup, but it's good-looking. So I really, really enjoy that. You can get this all blacked-out version, or you can get one that has a satin blade and JG tin scales. I like the murdered-out version. I've really been into murdered-out knives lately, and I know my younger brother likes stuff like that, too, so that's why I got him this one. Speaking of that blade, we have a flat grind here. I already talked about the spear point blade. Very, very useful EDC blade shape. Does have quite a bit of belly out here, so getting to your utility cuts isn't going to be as good as some knives, so that might be something you don't like. But definitely a very capable blade, good slicing power. You do have, decently thin geometry. You're going to be able to slice very, very effectively. Next thing I like is actually the sharpening choil here is done pretty darn nicely. You can see that the plunge ends right there. They could have, drug it back here a little ways, but you're going to get lots of sharpenings off of this edge before you need to, start worrying about smiles and stuff. So really, really good there. Next thing, look at the jimping up here. Kizer does jimping right. I love all that jimping. It's got a good texture. It extends out a good way along the blade. It's where my thumb actually lands. Good job, Kizer, for knowing how jimping works. I really appreciate that. And speaking of that jimping and just the way this knife feels in hand, the ergonomics are really, really nice. This is a smallish knife. You can see here I can just barely get 4 fingers on there, but it's a solid grip. It's a hand-filling grip. And this is a knife that I think my brother is going to be able to grow with. It fits his hand now, and I think it'll fit his hand as he gets older and bigger too. I think that's really, really great. Honestly, the dimensions and feel of this knife really, really surprised me. It's not quite what I was expecting. This knife is a little bit bigger than I was anticipating it being, and in a good way, right? I thought this knife would be a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit finicky for, bigger hands, but no, this is very hand-filling, and this is a knife that I honestly think a large variety of hand sizes would enjoy. Whether you have small hands or large hands. If you've got large hands, this might be a 3-finger knife, but it's going to still be a solid 3-finger grip. So I really, really like that. It's really, really cool. Fit and finish and everything out of the box is really good. Kizer, is typically good at stuff like that. Reversible clip. I love that. This is a button lock. And so they include the lefties. And of course, my brother being a lefty, I'm sure he appreciates that a lot too. Really, really cool. I love seeing companies paying attention to, the lefties in the community, and especially on, a budget knife like this. They could have been like, this is our least expensive knife. We're not gonna put that clip on the left-hand side. But they did, so I appreciate that. Speaking of fit and finish and things like that, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the clip a little bit more. I like this clip. I like Kizer's clips. It is not set into the scale, but the screws are flat. It's kind of a wide clip, a little bit long. Climbs over your pocket really, really nicely. And in the hand, it doesn't really bother me that much. Like, I know it's there, but that's kind of true of most deep carry clips. I like Kizer's clips. I think they do a really, really good job. I think they look good. So, nice job, Kizer. Now let's talk about some things that I find interesting about the construction. So number one, this thing is basically just G10. It only has cartridge liners up here for the plunge. And I'm not sure if we can show that off. It's a little bit hard to see down in there. Let's grab do I have a flashlight sitting around here? I should. Where did I put my flashlight? Flashlight found. So, see if we can get a look in here. Yeah, you can kind of see back there just cartridge liners. Now, I think this is really, really cool. Obviously, milling out an area in the G10 to have just those cartridge liners is a little more work than having full liners, or I guess really they could do no liners. But they did that. It's really cool. And the knife itself feels very, very solid. G10 is a very strong handle material. And honestly, it makes the knife very, very lightweight while still feeling robust and solid. It kind of reminds me in a way of the Cold Steel American Lawman. How the American Lawman just has, those G10 scales, and I guess the Recon 1 does as well. But this kind of feels more like the American Lawman to me. Very, very cool. And they've knocked down all the corners of this G10 really, really nicely. It feels nice and smooth, and it's just good. The button itself is easy to access. The action works really well. It's a flipper only, which I sometimes worry with flipper only button locks that the action might not be tuned the way it's supposed to be, but this one is, and I really, really like that. The flipper tab does have some jimping on it. It's a pretty low profile flipper tipper. Oh my goodness. There is a little bit of button stick on this thing, but that assures me that it has a good solid lockup. I have spine whacked this thing and it did not fail, so that's really, really nice. Okay, is that everything? Oh, also I like the texture on this G10 here. It's nice and grippy without being a pocket shredder with the clip. So there we go. Alrighty. Also I should point out this too. There are little metal threads in there for the screws. You can see that right there. Alrighty, very, very cool. And actually, I'm just now realizing I need to check that hardware. That hardware kind of looks like it might be T8. I don't know if it is. Where are my Weehaw bits? Come on, Weehaw bits. There they are. Let's see what that hardware is. Here's my T8. Okay, no, that's T6. Okay, for some reason it looked like T8s, but it's T6. Alrighty, nothing unusual. Okay, but that kind of sums up all of my likes. Let's go ahead and go on to some complaints. One thing I find weird is they do not mark the steel on this thing. They do write Amicus in like a very boring font right there. I don't mind the name of a knife on the knife, but I kind of preferred they put the blade steel on there. Not a huge deal, but, you know, okay. The action is good, but I don't think it is, like, the best budget lock action. And this is not a complaint. This is just, like, the pyrite feels so just effortless and snappy. And then if we compare it against a another flipper, let's pull out the, oops, wrong pouch. There we go. If we pull out the Simcut Serene, yeah, this flipper is way more crisp and snappy. Again, not really a dig at this knife, just an observation. The action is still, you know, completely fine, and I'm okay with it. So there we go. Speaking of Amicus, I wonder what that means. We're gonna have to do another Google search. Alrighty. It's Latin for friend or companion, which I kind of suspected it was. Amicus, amicable, things like that. So good. Just wanted to double check. So yeah, this is a good little friend, a good little companion. Other things to complain about. I guess I could nitpick the T6 hardware, but I don't really feel like doing that. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to complain about here. So let's go ahead and go on to the final conclusions. These knives come in that $42 price point. I think that's fine. I heard some people saying that they thought these things might be, not really worth the money, this, that, and the other. I think actually these might be closer to $45. I really, really like this knife. I think it's really cool. The cartridge liners and stuff, this is not the simplest knife ever. There are some, more complex details going on here, and I think this is a great knife for the money. I'm actually really, really surprised, and I'm really looking forward to more of the Laconic series. I will definitely be taking a look at more of them. I think this is a great intro EDC knife. As far as budget knives go, I think this absolutely stands in good company. It fits in. I don't think it's necessarily the best budget knife ever, but I think it holds its own. It's a really solid knife, and I'm very, very impressed. So congratulations, Kizer. I think the Laconic series is really cool, and the Kizer Laconic Amicus, focus up camera, thank you, is a winner. It's a great knife. And yeah, again, I gave this as a gift to my brother, and I think that was a good choice. I don't regret it at all. I think he's going to get a lot of really good use out of this. So that's all I have to say about this knife, guys. Do I recommend it? Yes, I absolutely do. This is a really, really cool knife. It surprised me. I just can't get over. This knife feels so competent in hand. Gosh, I can put this thing to work. But yeah, great, great knife. Definitely something to be proud of. So, Kizer Laconic series, off to a good start for me.
Hey guys, it's Editing Gideon. Because this video focused a lot on one of my brothers, I showed him a lot in the video, I thought this would be the perfect video to showcase something that one of my sisters has been working on for me. She is very musically gifted, and she's been working on a couple of songs for my channel, some channel music, some theme songs for the channel, things like that. And so I wanted to go ahead and play one of those in this video. It's going to be playing at the end credits, and we're going to be playing a couple more of her songs in other videos that are coming out in the coming weeks. So definitely let me know what you guys think about that. Big thank you to my sister. It's really awesome that she would do that. My siblings are really cool in general. They're great people, very talented. I miss them a lot. Wish I got to see them more than I do, but they're definitely cooler than I was when I was their age. The particular sister that made this is my youngest sister. She's a senior in high school, and yeah, big shout out to her. Thank you so much. But yeah, let's back to the video.
And that's going to be it for today, guys. Real quick, shout out to members. I want to give a shout out to Old Tonto Guy, our cowboy member. Thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. We also have a couple other members in the nerd category. If you guys want to become channel members, go ahead and click the join button down below. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Gideon. and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.